you guys. We're just gonna wait for let me see, like a few more people, and then I will start to introduce myself. Uh, Hopefully you guys can hear me. I think I'm hearable. I'm heard. Let's say I've technically worked in a restaurant before, so like, and watched The Bear plenty of times. So heard. Okay, so there's 9, yep, and 10. I think that is plenty of people to get started. Hello. As the title states, hi, I'm Shara Kirby. I am an LA-based theatrical and voice actress, if you would prefer. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm 20x years old. I'm an Aries. I like long walks on the beach. And you may have heard me in projects like Genshin Impact as Candace, Fire Emblem Heroes as Ganglöt. What else? You would think I would know my own resume. um, uh, Catt in Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. B in Pokémon Masters EX. Um, Love Live as Karen, and many more. I've been in plenty of anime projects as well as video game. I think most of my projects have been in video games at this point in time. And some prelay animated series, and even a commercial. If you've ever heard any of the recent U to the Max TJ Maxx spots, that is me. Well, not the most recent ones now. I think they replaced me with an AI, but that is okay. So for today, I will be answering like any questions you guys might have in regards to like the voiceover community, or just questions you have about myself, myself, and I that I can answer that may not break NDAs and or my personal boundaries. So yeah, if you have any questions about the industry as a whole, or like the voiceover industry, as well as like maybe any like advice you might want to have in terms of your career and your budding careers, just let me know in the cute little server events chat and I will totally answer. It's not okay. Aw, Jesse, what's not okay? Would say, but yeah, like my career really, I guess while I wait for your questions to come in, if you guys have any questions, I guess I will go a little more in depth with my backstory as to how I have gotten to the place I am at right now. Um, so I originally, when I was young and a wee one, I don't know if there's any wee ones in here, but when I was like, I want to say coming into middle school, I really wanted to be a veterinarian. Um, but I think around 11 or 12, I realized that blood was involved with being a vet, and I was like, no. I want nothing. I love animals, but I wanted nothing to do with like, you know, gore. So I was like, okay, well then I'll be a singer like my mom. But then sometime around 12 and 13 years old, I developed stage fright. I don't know why it happened. I'm assuming that's kind of when I started developing my anxiety. Hey, Mike, thanks for swinging by. Um, I assume that's when I like, those were like the teen years when I started to develop my anxiety and antisocialness, and like I was a little afraid to like get on a stage and sing. I used to be able to sing flawlessly as a child, but then it kind of got to a point where I was 13. I was like, oh my god, everybody is judging me, everybody is looking at me, no. So I stopped singing, which was kind of sad. I mean, I'm singing again, but like not as much as I was as a child. So I was very anxious going into high school, and public speaking was not my forte. I hated it. But I started getting obsessed with movies and cartoons and video games. And, I really admired the actors and actresses who would be performing in those projects, especially with film and TV. So I got the bright idea in my little anxiety riddled brain that why not try to do acting? So, um, they were having theater tryouts in my high school, and I don't know why I thought this was a smart idea at the time, but I tried to memorize a whole like piece, like a whole monologue in a day, like not even a day, just like a few hours, because I didn't know that they were doing theater auditions that day. So me thinking, oh, this is gonna be easy. It's just a few lines. Let me just try and memorize this. And I thought I had it down packed, and I walked into the room, and I at the time was assuming that I was simply going to be auditioning for the theater director at the high school. No, it was not only the theater director, but it was the assistant director, I think one of the like stage managers, and literally like the entire theater troupe was all staring at me. And you know how I was talking about how I don't do well at the time, I didn't do well with public speaking and anxiety. Yeah, I choked. I choked so bad. And like I ran out of the room crying, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. Never, ever, ever. So flash forward to a couple of weeks later. My mom was looking into a job at a community theater in my town in the southwest side of Detroit. And, she got done with her resume, well, not done with her resume. She got done with her interview and came down the stairs while I was in the car playing on my Nintendo DS, and she was like, "Shara, Shara, Shara, they're holding auditions for their teen troupe. You should audition." And I was like, "Nope, I'm not doing that again. No way. I'm not choking again. I already embarrassed myself enough. Acting is not for me." Um, but with the pressure of my mother, and I'll always thank her for this. Um, like she's literally like my mom is the entire reason why I'm an actor at this point in my life, and I will always be thankful and bless her for it. But I went in and I took out the monologue again, and instead of it being like an entire theater troupe, thank God it was only two people, but I was still a little nervous, and I did it. And they didn't criticize me or like judge me or give me judging stares. They were actually really supportive, and we went through the sides a few times, and I walked out of there feeling still a little discouraged because I was like, they're not gonna pick me. Like they're not gonna want me. It's fine. I mean, but at least I got through it. And a day later, I got an email, and they were like, "Hi, we would like to, welcome you into the theater, into the teen company of our community theater." And that was simply the beginning. At the time, I only used theater as an outlet to get over my public speaking anxiety. But then, like, I think junior or senior year of high school, I was like, you know what? I'm actually pretty decent with this. Why not make this my career? And so I graduated from high school. I went to university for theater, and I graduated in 2019 with my bachelor's in performance, which I am very, very happy about. And then afterwards, I started saving up to move to LA or New York. At the time, I couldn't choose between either one, um, because either one would have been great. For New York, it would have been theater. For LA, it would have been film for TV. And the pandemic happened, and I was at home. I couldn't do either or. And I was really feeling down in the dumps because I was like, I had no creative outlet outside of like writing lyrics and uh, fanfics that will never be finished. Uh, and then all of a sudden, I started seeing like voiceover opportunities opening up remotely. And so, with the unemployment that I had and saving up my money, I built up my home booth. I started taking workshops with people like Chris Rager. Um, who else? Oh God, I took so many workshops. Chris Rager, Richard Horvitz, so many people who were like opening up their like classes remotely, and I got a little indie demo reel done. And certain studios back in like the summer of 2020 were opening up their rosters and asking for demo reels. And just off at the top of my head, I sent some of mine in, and I don't know how I did it. I don't know how, but they accepted my demo reels and they started sending me sides. And the very first side that I received, and the very first thing that I ever booked professionally as a as a voice actor was B for Pokemon Masters EX through Bang Zoom. And like, hey, thank you, Mami Okada. So yeah, so flash forward to now. I'm always thankful for like my sort of beginnings in like video games as well as animation. Yeah. And since then I've sort of been kind of trying to branch into like mainly prelay in video games as well as now looking into theatrical representation, which I'm very, very excited about because I've always wanted to get back into like acting on stage as well as on camera. But yeah, let's look into your questions. Salutations. How did you get into voice acting? Thank you, Pyro. I sort of kind of already answered that with that very long, very long life story. For that, I apologize. But if you want to get a TLDR reasoning, I got into voice acting mainly because of two different things. One, Dragon Age. I loved the voice acting in Dragon Age Origins. It was so phenomenal and incredible, and I loved every second of it. Always fingers crossed that I end up in the next Dragon Age game. And cartoons all like I feel like for a lot of people cartoons was like the thing that made them go I want to be a voice actor, be in voiceover. And for me, I mean, you know, I'm no I'm no exception. Getting replaced by the AI, the bots are after yeah, they really are. And the clients, you know, I guess like saving money. Hey Shara, just wanted to ask, where did you get your casting calls from? Okay, so thank you, Rolando Cruz. That is actually a really good question. So at the very beginning of my budding career, I was much like you guys. I started off in indie projects. So after I like saved up and got my little makeshift booth together, I started auditioning for like indie projects that would, you know, release casting calls on Twitter. And God, I forget what the first one I auditioned for was. And I booked it. But gosh, I really can't remember. But it was like 3 years ago. I'm so bad with memory. But yeah, like more often than not, like when I was starting, I literally got started based off of like just Twitter indie casting calls because there's so many people who like need voice actors for like their student films or their passion projects. And you can like, and with those original projects, I'm not talking about like fan dubs. Fan dubs are cool, but you know, I wouldn't put them on your resume. But like with those original projects, you can use those to like sort of add to your demo reel if you ever like make one in the future, and show like potential like maybe agencies in the future as well as potential clients, you know, that you're pitching yourself to directly, like, hey, I do have some work in the past. I can show you that I can indeed act. It's not just like voice over, it's also acting. So for me at the time, I got them off Twitter. And then after I started pitching myself to studios with my demo reel, I started getting on like direct casting rosters through like studios like Bang Zoom, Okatron 5000, um, who else? Sound Cadence. So yeah, I think it really all depends on like pitching yourself with what you have available. And you should like again, like don't knock Twitter indie calls. Please, a lot of these projects are actually really, really cool. And if you have the chance and if they offer like sides for you to audition for, go for it. How should we go about improving our acting, especially to a point to get noticed more? All right, thank you, Jacob. That is a really good question. Um, I always uh try to tell people to as I know you don't necessarily need to do this, but take an improv class. Good, take a theater class. Take a, like an intro to theater, like intro to acting on stage. I swear it's going to like to add if you don't have a lot of credits, training and education is going to be so important to put on your resume to be noticed in order for somebody to give you an opportunity because you might not have credits but you have training. And if you take improvisation classes more often than not, um clients as well as like casting directors are going to look at that and will notice that like, hey, you do have like while you might not have credits, you have experience performing. And with improv, not necessarily with like anime, because with anime you have to like match flip flaps and you don't really have too many opportunities to improv with anime. But yeah, like adding like different like skill sets to your like resume, like maybe you could do a different like you could do this accent or dialect, and I mean perfectly, not like one of those like super wacky like versions or stereotypical versions of an accent. I mean like a legit accent. They will notice that. I've gotten so many like casting calls that will ask you to like do a certain like dialect or an accent and they want you to do it like specifically like a naturalist thing and I have to skip it because it's like yeah, I cannot do a non-stereotypical Russian accent. It's just not gonna fit. But yeah, like I would say training and education is definitely something you need to have on your resume, regardless of whether or not you have credits or not, to be noticed more when you're pitching yourself. Let's see. I'll just throw one in here for shiz and giggles. Why not? Might as well, right? I'm just seeking advice. Of course, that's what I'm here for. Thanks for like hope. I am here to give you advice. As a smaller VA who's struggling to find work, what, in your opinion, is the best way to advertise my services? The amazing Christina V, I love Christina, and Todd Habercorn at Comic Con suggests TikTok. But people only really seem to like the Genshin skits I create, and the VA stuff doesn't seem to get much attention. I'm so sorry for the question. That's okay. Um, TikTok is I mean, I'm in literally their camp. TikTok is a very good place for some reason to get noticed. I don't know what's up with their TikTok's algorithm is so weird though because like yeah, you'll tag FUYP for you to get noticed on your For You page. But yeah, like things popular titles like Genshin are going to be noticed simply because it's Genshin. It's one of the hottest games right now, still insane. But yeah, like I would say keep at it on TikTok. Also, um, if you really want to like advertise your services, like if you have credits, if you have a demo reel, um, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like I've been using LinkedIn more recently and I've gotten a few opportunities off of LinkedIn, which is so weird. Like a lot of people wouldn't think that you could get like acting opportunities off of LinkedIn, but like with the voiceover community, it's very I was about to say, yeah, LinkedIn is nice. LinkedIn is huge. And I'm talking about connecting with like casting directors and maybe like a voiceover director. I'm not talking about other actors. I mean, unless the other actor is like a casting director, um, I wouldn't say connecting with other actors on LinkedIn is helpful, but trying to connect with like casting directors and maybe those production heads would help. And also another way to advertise your services, Twitter, Instagram, like, like all those skits and maybe those videos that you're posting on TikTok, also post them there. And add those tags and let them, let people see your work. Um, but yeah, if you're trying to advertise your services, again, training and education. Also, for advertising, like with two studios and CDs, like if you're trying to advertise to Bang Zoom, let them know like, hey, I trained here and there. I have credits in this. here's a TikTok skit that I created that's gotten some following. It does go a long way, and while they like the Genshin skits, maybe try and work into those. I hope that made sense. I sincerely hope it does. What are your favorite kinds of characters to voice personality wise? Interesting. That is a very good question. What kind of characters I like to voice? I don't know. I love them. I love all of them. That's kind of like asking it's kind of like asking me what my like who's my favorite child. I don't know. Like there's this depending on the day, it's very rewarding depending on who it is you're auditioning for. Like, for example, with Francesca in Bleach, uh, that particular day, I was feeling very, um, aggressive and angry. Uh, and so I was able to sort of kind of let loose, if that makes sense, or get really gruff in that voice range as I was playing Francesca. So I do like playing badasses, but I also love being very eloquent and gentle, like with how I got to do with Juliet in the visual novel Please Be Happy, which is available on Steam if you love women games. It's so cute. It's so nice. And I got to be a vampire, which was really cute. But yeah, like favorite yeah, I like the characters that allow me to express myself, where I can like go on a journey. And with characters like Juliet and God, who else was it? It was Juliet and Candace. I think those characters were the ones where I was able to sort of kind of like find myself having levels and actually going on a journey with the characters. I was building through their stories. So yeah, I would say I guess I do kind of have a preference. Yeah, I like the very eloquent characters that sort of kind of have something underneath, if that makes sense. So yeah, personality wise, elegance. Elegance. What would you say is your amigo Jakey? That was the previous question was from that Max guy. Thank you so much for that. And your amigo Jakey asks, what would you say is the best way to grow as a VA? I would say the best way to grow as a VA is what I think mentioned earlier. Take classes, take workshops when you can afford them and when you can have time to invest in yourself. Take workshops and classes with CDs that you like. Maybe take acting classes through reputable teachers that are working, mind you. Don't just take classes from anybody who just claims that they know what they're doing. Make sure that you're taking classes with people who are actually actively working within the industry. So go on like things like IMDb and check their recent credits. See if they actually booked something within the past 2 years. If not, they are not a good teacher. Do not go to them. Or they might be a good teacher, but just saying, like you need to be working with somebody who is actively working within the industry. Otherwise, if they're not booking and you're learning from them, what makes you think you're going to book? But I would say, yeah, the best way to grow is take acting classes, preferably those in person. I know we still kind of have like COVID shit going on still, but yeah, I would say take classes in person. So take like theater classes, take improv classes, and take voiceover classes as well. Um, Unfortunately, like the best way to grow is like three different things, like skill, money, and time. So like you could have natural skill, but are you investing in yourself to like be able to like show people like, hey, I did training at this reputable place, because with that comes with credibility. So it's kind of like a catch 22 sort of way, sort of thing. So yeah, I would say the best three ways to grow is like building up your skill, investing in your brand, and yeah, just being available, being on time. Alrighty. Jesse Deone. I hope I said that last name right. Public speaking. Oh wait, that's not a question. But yeah, public speaking is very nerve wracking, and accents are a tough route to follow. Question: how do you do action voices such as grunts? Ah, you mean efforts. So in the voiceover realm, we call those efforts static. And with those, um, the way that the way that most people usually like focus on efforts, if anybody is working on efforts, my advice to you would be to play video games, play those action RPGs, and those, I guess, people who are into Call of Duty. Those games are like filled with efforts. And the thing with efforts is and also like try them for yourself. Like jump in place and remember how you sound as you're jumping, like a small jump, a medium jump, a long jump, or when you're fighting, such as like, when you're getting stabbed in the stomach. How does that sound? Like, I forget who it was. I think it was like Christopher Lee. I think he said like you don't really make a sound as you're getting stabbed, which is so crazy. But in video games, when more often than not, if somebody is getting stabbed in the stomach, they go, like, it's like a guttural grunt because it's coming from like your stomach. But yeah, those particular efforts, I would say also, I forget his name, Darcy Smith and Lindsay Rosuneo. I can never say her last name right. I will put their names in the chat soon. But I think they both hold classes that actually focus on combat and efforts within gaming, and as well as like just voiceover in general. So I know it sounds weird and cringe when you try to do it, but you shouldn't even be thinking about it. Don't think about it. Just do it. Because when you start to overthink about how you do those things, like they're gonna sound weird to you, of course, because it's like, ugh, like who does in a booth? But you have to. I mean, that's the job. um, Obviously, LinkedIn is. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, bye, Light Hope. Thanks for coming through. Ooh, I feel that. Let's see. When did you know you were ready to make a demo, and what was your process in creating one? Thanks for doing this. Thank you for the good question, Laco. When did I know I was ready to make a demo? That's a very good question. I would say so the what I did what I did was, since I technically already got training at a university for performance, and I took a few VO workshops, I made the decision for myself to get an indie demo reel done, my very first indie demo reel done by somebody. For those who don't have performance experience, or are just like mainly just VO stayers, my suggestion to you would be, if you really aren't sure, get a second opinion. Some people have coaches, acting coaches that, like let them know if they're ready or not, in terms of like, are you ready to make a demo reel and things like. You know what? Let me break it down like this. Do you know your range? Do you know what character archetypes you can do authentically for whatever medium that you are doing? Like, for example, if I was making um a demo reel solely for anime, if that's all I really wanted to do, I would be focusing on making a character reel or an animation reel. And with those type of reels, you focus more on, I know that character reels and character voices and roles and certain things are starting to become more like naturalistic. But like, what character archetypes can you do? Do you have a vocal range of the gentle big sister? Um is your voice high pitched? So would you be like the super hyperistic girl or the very sad gentle child? I would say start researching certain like performers that you really like, and figure out, and also ask other people within your community, like, like, you've heard my stuff, right? Like, what precisely, like, what do you think in terms of like range do I sound akin to? Like, do I sound like a Don Bennett? Do I sound like an Alejandro Saab? Something like that. But I would say, yeah, for me, I made the decision myself because I knew what my range was, that I was ready to make a demo. I would say if you're not sure, yeah, I would ask for a second opinion. There may be somebody that is a little more professional, or a coach if you have one. My process in making one, in my very first process in making one, I got my first demo done, which was like an indie demo that I have hidden away from everybody now, from an indie demo producer. I did it underneath a cover with like my little makeshift booth box. And I think I had like a Focusrite at the time with an AT 2035, and like after hearing the final mix, I was like, yeah, this sounds okay. But looking back on it now, I'm like, oh my God, this sounds so quality. How did they accept this? But like I've grown so much from that. And the thing is like, also with making a demo, sometimes more often than not, you could be growing so fast that you will outgrow your demo. So I would say maybe wait for a demo until like you like gain more credits and know your range. Otherwise, you're going to start outgrowing your demo. And then when you outgrow that demo, you got to make another demo, and then another demo, and then another demo. You know what I'm saying? But like, and then that was my process for my first demo reel. And then my most recent demo reel that I got done, it was sort of kind of the same thing. Only difference was I had a better booth and I actually had sound treatment. So yeah, it was mainly a remote type of deal. I don't think I've ever done a demo production in studio yet. Maybe for my next one. Maybe for my next one. All of this Genshin talk is making me think I should play the game. If you try to play the game now, it's going to take you a very long time to get to where we are now, Jesse. I'm just letting you know right now. Let's see. Would you just listen to reference? Wait, would you just listen to references if you can't reference yourself for effort sounds? Yes, I would say definitely listen to references. There's plenty of YouTube videos of like different characters from different games or particular mediums who like I think they focus mainly on the sounds that they make. So like games like Smite, Call of Duty, what other there's so many games that like have characters making efforts. But yeah, you could just listen to references of others and just match them. You can even listen to Genshin Impact. I think there's plenty of Genshin like stuff that you could hear. If you've ever done a martial art, a familiar, yep. What sites do you recommend to get an agent, and what time is the right one to get one? Is the right to get one? Sites to recommend to get an agent. Paisley, can you like elaborate on that particular question? Are you saying like what agencies do I recommend, or like what sites do I recommend to like pitch yourself to? I'm sorry. The brain is not working today. I'm gonna save it, but I was gonna head to this next question, and then I'll come back after I think you get this explanation. But what is the difference between character reels and animation reels? Um, Not really much of a difference, Rolando. I say there's a difference depending on what market you're in. If you're simply an anime person and you only want to focus on anime, uh, I say character reel, because more often than not, the people in the Texas market call them character reels. Whereas in the LA and New York market, we call them animation reels. There's a like, and I say there's a slight difference because with the character reels, they focus more on like anime archetypes. Whereas with the animation reels, we focus more on prelay. And if you want to, you can also add some anime stuff in there as well. But more often than not, the animation reels kind of focus on like, you know, Craig of the Creek style type, or Craig of the Creek. What other cartoons are out right now? SpongeBob, Amphibia type of style of acting, and you know, those basically those are the two differences. So yeah, what sites do you recommend to get an agent? What time is right to get one? I'm trying. I would say I see you typey Paisy. I think you're yeah. Are there just any oh, okay. So you're asking recommendations for agencies. All right. Well, right now my agent is Atlas Talent. They're a fantastic agency. I've loved working with them. I started freelancing with them back in July, and I officially signed with them either January or February of this year for an 18-month contract. So they've been treating me very well so far. And for them, I would say what other agencies would I also recommend? I've really only worked with Atlas, so I can't give you much advice on other agencies, at least intimately. I've heard good things about CESD, but their roster is very huge. So more often than not, I mean, I was about to say, yeah, voice actor websites have a list of agents you can look into if you want to find one that aligns with what you're trying to do. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you want, I would say if you're looking into finding an agent, and if you're at that point where you're like, I want to find an agent home, look into these agencies, connect with people who are currently at these agencies and ask them, how do they like it? What's the vibe? Do like, if you prefer talking with your agent from time to time, ask them, does your agent check in on you? Do you check in with your agent? How often do you guys talk with each other? Me personally, I love talking to people, especially with people who are basically on my team, because the thing about agents is they work for you. They are on your team. You guys are on equal levels, okay? So you know, you got to find somebody like that fits your vibe and works for you. Are they very supportive? Are they do they actually care about your progress? Do they like your reads? Do they do they check in with you? You know, if they don't check in with you and they just send you sides or whatever, I always feel like that's very disingenuous, if that makes sense. Like, it's like all you see me as is a cash cow. It's just like, no, I'm a person, and you know, we have to treat each other like people, you know, and we're both basically working with each other for you getting a 10% commission and me booking work that you send my way. So I would say, like, if you do care about somebody who actually cares about like your progress and looking into like your progression in your career, Atlas is a really good agency to start with. Um, what time is right to get one? I would say if you've gotten enough credits, you feel like, for me, I think I cold submitted to Atlas after I got maybe 5 credits, and as well as showing them like, hey, I have education, I have a degree in this actually, and like show them the skills that you have, give them an appropriate resume, a not too long cover letter about what you can do, where you're at currently, and like why you're interested in their agency particularly, then you know you're good to go. So resume, and also being sure of yourself, sure of your type, knowing that as you look at their roster, you could be like, hey, you don't have somebody like me on your roster, or at least you don't have enough people like me on your roster. You know, I think I can help you out. We can help each other out. So I would say the right time to get one is just when you feel ready, which, is again a catch 22. It's like, oh my God, how do I feel ready? That was me. But sometimes, just know that like you could be afraid to cold submit, but also what if you have to lose? The worst thing that could happen is they don't respond to you. Then you follow up with them like 4 weeks later, they don't respond to that. You follow up with them 3 months later, they don't respond to that. That's the worst, literally the worst that could happen. So I would say recommending to get an agent. If you want, look into these certain agencies. Look into the agencies that are like on top right now. So like Atlas, CESD, SPV, um who else? Vox. There's so many. But yeah, like there's plenty of agencies with plenty of great talent. I on depending on what you want in your career, you can't go wrong. Let's see. Do you think the demo is safe? I don't know. How did you get sound reduction? Was it like the little rigid? Yeah, 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 yeah. So sound treatment. When I say sound treatment, yeah, I talk about like wherever you're using as a space for recording, whether that be a closet booth or like a PVC booth, or even if you're lucky enough, a VA, like a LA vocal booth or a sound, what is it? Sound something. What do they call that? Vocal sound. It's like a sound box or something. One of those $4,000 like studio boots, studio bricks. That's the word. That is the one that came to mind. Yeah. So like with those, and you add in like audio foam or bass traps, and yeah, that's basically what I mean. And how did I get? That's basically how I achieved sound treatment in my booth, was like having sound blankets and audio foam and bass traps, which again goes into investing in your brand and your career, because that costs money. Believe me, there's money. But yeah. Yeah, are there just any specific agencies? Yeah, but yeah. I hope I answered that for you, Paisley. Did you start as an actor or did you jump directly into VO? I started, well, the thing is, and I always like to try and tell people this, we're all actors. It just depends. It's just like, I always find it so weird that people differentiate actors and voice actors. It's like s- actors are stage actors, actors are film actors, actors are TV actors, actors are voice actors. We're all actors. But I always find that there's this weird distinction if you only do, like, if your primary work is in voiceover, and they'll just call you a voice actor. But say somebody is doing mainly theater, I don't hear anybody calling them a stage actor and only a stage actor. They just get called an actor. I always found that weird. So I always like to preface and tell people that I am an actor. I do it all. I am on stage, I am on film and TV, or I am trying to get on film and TV. And I am indeed I do voiceover. So yeah, but I would say like, listen, it's like, you know, I'm an actor. Just don't like voice. Yes, I do voiceover, but don't just call me a voice actor. I do more things than that. But yeah, I didn't jump directly into VO. I started off on stage, mainly through community theater. And then when I was in university, I did some productions there. And then I was going to do a production at a theater in my hometown in Michigan. And then the pandemic happened and that ended. So I haven't been able to do a theatrical production since, or a stage production since. Uh, let's see. There's a bit of a technical question, but what DB levels do you record for auditions? The average level that your audition should be at is like -18. I at least that's what I've been told, is like that's kind of like the sweet spot, that your like average speaking voice should be like near like -18, up to 6, up to -6, and that's pushing it, because like after that, that's peaking. Basically. But yeah, thanks, Scorp. You answered my question a little. But yeah, that's basically it. And then like, yeah, if you peak, just go back, gain down a little. It's fine. Let's see. All voice actors are actors, but not all actors are voice actors. And very interesting philosophy, Jesse. Interesting, interesting, interesting. I wouldn't. You know, I don't know how to. I don't know how. I mean, agree to disagree. I'm not gonna go too much into that, but agree to disagree. But yeah, voice actors are like special forces. What have you done on stage? So on stage, on my website, I think even on my resume, I think I've put what productions I've done. So I've done like Ex Tigony, I was Chocolate Boy, or actually I was like ensemble and Chocolate Boy. I had to like share the part with somebody else, which was so weird. I was like, just make me Chocolate Boy, but I had to share it with somebody. And Ex Tigony was sort of a reimaginating, like a modern reimagination. That's the word of Antigone. And Antigone was a Greek play in like a trilogy done by like Sophocles, I believe. And Antigone was like Oedipus Rex's daughter. It was a crazy play. Also I did like A Christmas Story, A Christmas Carol, um, The Odd Couple. Yeah, I've done a few plays. It was really cool. Yeah, there was a lot of incest in that. In the modern retelling, I don't think we got that. I don't think they emphasize that too much, thankfully. But yeah. I've done theater productions. That was literally where I got my start, and I always attribute that as to why I accrued so much success in the voiceover realm. I feel like theater training goes a mile and beyond for you as an actor because it allows you to focus more on your physicality as well as your projection, especially with these video games where you have to like shout. Yeah, it really helps with like projection and whatnot, theater training. So this is why I always like swear up and down people should, if I know like, again with me, like I know if you like voiceover, you don't like being in front of people or like performing in front of an audience. But theater acting really does so much as a performer. It's so gratifying for me as a performer. You get instant gratification performing on stage, because you get to see the audience reaction to your performance. And thankfully, more often than not, I had good reactions, which is why I miss theater so much. I miss it so much. Man, I swear I probably seen your name under A Christmas Carol. Never saw you on stage, but it sounds so familiar. Oh, well, that's probably because the production that I did of A Christmas Carol, excuse me, I don't know what happened with my nose, was a school production through my university. And I went to Wayne State University, mind you, in Detroit. But yeah, I was a part of the ensemble. We had to wear these like period accurate dresses. So like a corset and everything with like a big ruffly dress. It was quite, we always called A Christmas Carol like the hell production back in the university because we had to do it every year. That was like the Christmas, that was the Christmas production. They refused to do any other production. That was like our annual thing. We had to do A Christmas Carol every single year. And and so yeah, and I got to be in an ensemble for one particular year. One year I was a part of the ensemble, and the next year I was a part of the stage crew. I was like the assistant director, which was so annoying because the director did not allow me to do much as an assistant director. I mean, unless she was out because she was sick one time, and I was able to like send everybody home early. I was like, yeah, we don't have to keep hashing through this. Go home. It's literally the same thing we do every single year. But yeah, like I can never understand why they want to do a Christmas Carol every single year. I don't know if it was like a funds thing or they just really liked a Christmas Carol. Like I was like, can we ever have like a I don't know, like the Swan Lake? Or like the Nutcracker, only carols for Christmas. But yeah, like that was the university I went to like for the last 2 years of my university track. The first 2 years, I went to a community college, and I got to do no, not a Christmas, a Christmas story, and I was the mom and Miss Shields, so I was like doing like a double casted role. So like on certain nights, I would be the mom, and then on the other nights, I would be the teacher, which was so fun. I loved that production so much. It was really cute. Gosh, y'all are making me miss theater. Yeah, I love acting. I love acting so much. I don't care where it is. If it's theater, it's film, if it's voice, I just love it. We have caught up to all of our questions though. Does anybody else have like, any more questions? Oh, I think Rolando left. Bye, Rolando. I'm sorry I didn't say you left before you left. Bye. Bruh, this reminds me of when my high school did the Christmas Chaos, a parody of a Christmas Carol. No, because I think I've done a parody production of something back when I was in high school through like my teen troupe. Um, we did like this parody. We did like we did this like Halloween medley. So we had like different like skits. And one particular Halloween skit that we had, I was Sarah McLachlan. And for those who don't know who Sarah McLachlan is, do y'all remember those like those APS like PCAs for like the pets with the in the arms of an angel? Yeah. So I was Sarah McLachlan, and I threatened to kill a dog if they didn't donate money. And then another skit we did like parodies of songs, and we made them like Halloween-esque. And this was back when I think Now You're Just Somebody That I Used to Know was popping, and we didn't know that it was going to be a one-hit wonder. And I was a zombie, and we was like, now you're just somebody that I used to know. Yeah, geez, memory lane. Oh, I love theater. Anyway, um what is your favorite cheese? I'm making a list. Oh, wow. What is my favorite cheese? Funny enough, I had to stop eating dairy. I was told by my doctor I had to stop eating dairy because it was bad for my tummy, which I'm very sad about because I really, really like cheese. My favorite cheese, I would have to say, is Colby. I love Colby. I always use Colby when I'm making mac and cheese for the holidays. Um, I don't know. Something about Colby just makes it taste so nice. It's so wholesome. Um, Either Colby or mozzarella. Either Colby or mozzarella. I love those two specifically. Which project do you think was the most fun that I've ever done? Again, that's like choosing between my children. You can't ask me that. Um, World of Warcraft. I just announced that last week or this week actually. I loved voicing for World of Warcraft. Andrea Toyas is such a great voice director. She makes everything so fun. Um I had so much fun. Not even really, and not to say that like none of my other projects were fun. It's just with her, like the crazy thing about World of Warcraft is that I had to go through 3 characters in one session, and we were just doing them in succession. She was like, "Do you need to take a break?" I was like, "Nope, we're good." And she was I can't believe that like she was like she was gassing me up too. She was like, "Oh my god, you're like one of the only like performers that like, most people they need a break. You just powered right on through. And I was like, hey man, I'm just trying to give y'all, y'all got me in here for 4 hours. I'm just trying to give you what you need. But yeah, World of Warcraft was just so fun because I got to like go through like sort of kind of a roulette of different characters. Like I got to be a baddie, and when I say a baddie, I mean I got to be a villain. Not to say I've never done a villain before, but I got to be like a real villain this time. Um, I think the villain was Kajin the Unyielding. She's a troll. You meet her in the Hall of Infusion in Dragonflight. And you get to fight her. So if anybody in here plays World of Warcraft and you are fighting Kajin, let me know. I also got to voice Scout Tomu, who is a centaur, and that was probably the lowest I've ever had to go for a character. Like I had to go really low, and I had to do like a very like not too like it wasn't even a Scottish accent. It was like a Ren Fair-esque type of accent. So like borderline British, but not British. And that was really hard to do. I think Scout Tumu was like the most challenging in between the three, but I had so much fun voicing her because she was just like 2 foot. Like it was really fun. And then Soradormi, I haven't seen anybody who's met Soradormi in Dragonflight yet, so I don't know if she's actually in the patch yet. But for me, that was like so rewarding. So I was like, Soradormi has been in the game for so long, and now she finally gets a voice, and it's me, and she's all eloquent and sounding, and the wife of one of the coolest dragons in the game. What's going on, man? This was crazy. Yeah, I would say for me, World of Warcraft was the most fun. Yeah, it definitely sort of kind of made 10-year-old me so happy. Let's see. Please, thank the gods. Who did you voice in World of Warcraft? Yeah, I voiced 3 characters in World of Warcraft. Soradormi, Scout Tomu, and Kajin the Unyielding. Thanks for doing the Q&A. Nice hearing from an actor. Of course, of course. It was so fun. Are villains more fun to play? Yes or yes? Yes. So fun. I hope I get to play more villains in the future. Okay. I think we've caught up. I don't know if anybody else has any more questions. If you don't, then we could I guess we could probably wrap it up. Honestly, I think we've been talking for how long now? An hour? Oh, it's been an hour. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Let's see. We're speed running. Yeah, like that's crazy, man. You guys, I mean, I was afraid I was gonna like go on a very long, droning explanation for each of your questions. But you guys are really good with the questions. I really appreciate you guys. It's amazing. Yes, of course. I'm so glad that you guys came out. I hope that I answered all your questions. I wish every single one of you the best of luck in your careers, whether or not you're like doing voiceover primarily, if you're going into writing, if you're doing anything creative. I'm always out there for my beautiful creatives. You guys are amazing. If you are not familiar with my social media platforms, I am on TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. I think that's it. Oh, and YouTube under Shara Nicolin. So that is my name, but with Nicolin with 2 N's at the end. You guys can follow me and catch up with me. Hopefully I'll be able to, and I also stream. So if you ever have any more questions, and I stream one day, you can pop up in there. Thank you guys so much for coming out, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your days. Stay safe and hydrated. Bye bye.